Yes, please, this is an emergency. Please send a squad to Pierce Butler Road, Molenberg Manufacturing Company, machine shop. Please, there's an ambulance too. There's a girl hurt there.
Can you tell me what happened to her?
Just hurry, she's laying on the ground in the back by the railroad tracks, by the edge here. Hurry.
What's the address?
I don't know.
Who are you?
Just after midnight on January 1st, 1981, as fireworks faded and celebrations echoed through downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, a chilling phone call broke through the noise. A man, his voice trembling, high-pitched and emotional, pleaded with dispatchers to send help. He spoke urgently about a young woman lying injured near a machine shop by the railroad tracks. He sounded panicked, almost desperate. And then, just as suddenly as he called, he disappeared. When officers arrived at the scene, what they found was almost beyond comprehension. Lying in the snow was 20-year-old Karen Patak. She had been brutally attacked, her injuries severe enough that survival seemed impossible. And yet, somehow, she was still alive. Hours earlier, Karen had been celebrating New Year's Eve with her sisters. After an argument at a party, she left abruptly, stepping out into the freezing night, wearing only a red dress. Alone, disoriented, and unfamiliar with the area, she became vulnerable in a way she couldn't have anticipated. That's when a man pulled up beside her. He introduced himself as Paul. Calm, friendly, seemingly concerned about the cold, he offered her a ride. It felt like a small act of kindness in the middle of a harsh winter night. She accepted. But instead of driving her back toward the city, he took her somewhere else entirely, somewhere quiet, behind a machine shop, away from lights and people. What happened next would leave Karen fighting for her life and leave investigators with almost nothing to go on. There was no clear motive, no robbery, no signs pointing to anything other than a sudden, violent outburst. And when Karen regained consciousness days later, she remembered nothing. The only real clue was that phone call, the voice, a voice that would soon become infamous. Months passed. The case stalled. Leads dried up. Until June 3rd, 1981. An 18-year-old girl named Kimberly Compton had just arrived in St. Paul. It was her first day in the city. She was young, hopeful, starting a new chapter of her life. She met a man who seemed approachable, even welcoming. He offered to show her around, to help her get familiar with her new surroundings. She agreed. Later that day, her body was found near a riverbank. There were no witnesses, no clear suspect, just another senseless act of violence that left investigators searching for answers. But this time, something was different. Before her body was even discovered, the police received another phone call. The same voice, shaky, emotional, almost crying.
You find me, I just stabbed somebody with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody.
At first, officers thought it might be a hoax. The voice sounded exaggerated, almost theatrical. But when the details of the crime were confirmed, details only the killer could have known, it became clear. The caller wasn't lying. He was confessing. The media quickly picked up on the strange pattern. A killer who not only committed violent acts, but then called the police, seemingly overwhelmed with emotion. He became known as the Weepy-Voiced Killer, and he wasn't done. Over the following months, the calls continued, each one filled with distress, apologies, and fear of being caught, yet never leading to his capture. Investigators began to piece together patterns. His victims were women, often wearing red. targeted in moments of vulnerability. But despite the growing profile, they still had no name, no face, only a voice. Behind their voice was a man named Paul Michael Stefani. Born in 1944, Paul grew up in a strict, deeply religious household in rural Minnesota. Discipline was harsh, expectations were rigid, mistakes were punished. From a young age, he was taught about sin, guilt, and confession. That idea that wrongdoing must be admitted would later take on a disturbing form. As an adult, Paul struggled to build a stable life. He moved between jobs, relationships failed, and over time, resentment began to grow, particularly toward women. By the late 1970s, after losing his job and going through multiple personal setbacks, something in him began to unravel, and by 1981, it broke completely. In the summer of 1982, the violence escalated again. Another woman, Barbara Simmons, disappeared after a night out. She had been seen leaving a bar with a man, someone she trusted enough to accept a ride from. That small decision would cost her life. But this time, something changed. Before leaving the bar, Barbara had pointed the man out to a waitress. She made sure someone saw him. That moment, almost casual, almost insignificant, would become crucial. Because for the first time, investigators had a physical description. They built a lineup, and when witnesses looked at the photos, they didn't hesitate. They pointed to one man, Paul Michael Stefani. Even then, the case wasn't airtight. There was still little physical evidence tying him directly to the earlier crimes. Just the voice, the patterns, the growing suspicion. So police began surveillance. And not long after, everything unraveled. On August 21, 1982, Paul attacked another woman, Denise Williams. But Denise survived. Despite her injuries, Denise didn't freeze, she fought back. Inside the car, the attack quickly turned into a violent struggle. Desperate to survive, she grabbed a glass bottle and smashed it against Paul's head. The blow stunned him, but more importantly, it gave her a weapon. With the broken glass, she slashed at him, cutting his face and hand and disrupting his control. The struggle spilled out onto the pavement as Denise screamed for help, desperate screams that cut through the night. Those screams saved her life. A nearby resident, a young man named Douglas, heard the commotion and rushed outside. He immediately realized what was happening and stepped in, grabbing Paul and trying to pull him away. For a brief moment, the attack was interrupted. But Paul turned on him, lunging aggressively, forcing Douglas to retreat and run inside to call the police. That interruption was enough. Injured, panicked, and losing control, Paul fled, leaving Denise behind, wounded but alive. For the first time, one of his victims had not only survived, but had fought back hard enough to injure him. Back at home, Paul realized just how badly he had been hurt, and for the first time, he didn't call to confess, he called for help. He told dispatchers he had been attacked, but he made one critical mistake. He used his voice, that same trembling, high-pitched voice that police already knew. The moment the dispatcher heard it, there was no doubt.
We need an ambulance.
Where?
1505 Westminster.
1505
Yes,
Westminster. What's the problem?
I'm all cut up. I got beat up.
What's your apartment number?
208, I'm bleeding.
208. Where are you bleeding from?
From my arm, my face, my head.
When the ambulance arrived, police were already waiting. After nearly 2 years, the Weepy-Voiced Killer had finally exposed himself. At trial, everything came together. Denise gave a powerful account of the attack, and Douglas confirmed what he had seen. Their testimonies, backed by injuries on both sides, painted a clear picture. Then the recordings were played. The voice, the same voice from the calls, filled the courtroom. People who knew Paul confirmed it was him. Still, he denied everything. But it wasn't enough. He was convicted and sentenced to 58 years in prison. For years, he maintained his innocence. Until 1997. Facing death from terminal cancer, he finally confessed, admitting to the known attacks and revealing another murder that had never been linked to him before. Kathleen Greening. Her death, once ruled accidental, was finally understood as part of his crimes. On June 12, 1998, Paul Michael Stephanie died in prison. He took his true motives with him, why he called, why he confessed, and whether any of it was real or just another performance.
Please don't talk this, listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one. Oh, my faith. I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm sick. I'm going to kill myself, I think.
Where are you?
If somebody dies with a red shirt on, it's me. I killed